The management system is everything that makes up the work to be in compliance with ISO 27001. In particular, the Information Security Management System, or the ISMS, is a set of interrelated and interacting elements that establish policies, objectives, and the processes to meet those objectives. It takes into account risk to the information and information processing as practiced by Wacky Widget and manages such risk in accordance with top management requirements. Broken down, it is basically the resources such as policies, responsibilities, and controls over the organization. This includes facilities, people, and process, everything that contributes to how the organization achieves its objectives. Or, in other words, everything that makes up the rules around how your organization is going to protect the data. These are then assigned to owners who manage their piece in accordance with the standard, and your team takes on the responsibility to manage the entire environment. For your ISMS to be effective, the process needs to be repeatable. That means you are communicating to the point that it is understood by everyone, so that no matter who is executing on them, everyone understands how they work and are effectively implemented. Let me break it down to you and make it simple. Your company is represented by this ball. All the intellectual property, money, and data that makes up your company is placed in the ball. But without policies, controls, and organized security in this day and age, it will be no time before the bad stuff hits the fan. In organizations with thousands of employees, a half dozen security-minded risk and compliance professionals can't be everywhere. That is where the ISMS comes in to save the day and put out the fire. And not only that, it strengthens all your processes to make sure those fires don't spread in the first place. In essence, the ISMS is all the pieces and parts that make up your security program to support ISO 27001 certification. All documents are grouped into topics such as software development and testing, or purchasing and supplier management. Policies are strategic, high-level, and relatively unchanging. They are set by the relevant group director. Procedures describe a process and add more detail. Guidance describes in greater detail how policies are implemented and complied with. Forms and templates are created to help you for some procedures, and when completed, become records. Work instructions are very detailed descriptions on how to perform a specific job, task, or assignment. They describe particular steps of a high-level procedure. Records are the output of a procedure or work instruction. As you move along through this course, I will be covering various policies and documents that can be used to cover the various clauses. The documents are named in a way to tie them back to specific sections of the standard. So when you are talking about human resources, which is Annex A7 in the standard, you will potentially have a Doc A7 which contains the implementation of all the controls that make up meeting that standard. We will be starting with the ISMS manual. The manual contains material on the context and scope of the program. The program is broken down into some easily defined milestones. First, define the context of the organization, meaning who and what makes up the organization, who are the internal and external customers of the security compliance program. Then we'll define the scope. What part of the business are you trying to harden? We'll understand and define the assets of the organization, risk assess and treat those assets with controls selected, which leads to the SOA, our Statement of Applicability, the tie back to the standard where you say what areas of the standard are needed to mitigate risk to an acceptable level of the scope to be effective. Then comes the process to certify, which is broken down into two phases. So let's take a deeper look at the context and what that means.